Welcome back to another Kray video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. And for people really into the Krays, join our private Facebook group, Krays Crime Lords of London, where you will find stuff probably unavailable anywhere else. We're an established group with a large membership, and best of all, we're friendly. The link is in the YouTube description section.
And they left from the undertaker's in through Green Road with a horse-drawn cortege. The streets were packed as though for a royal occasion.
Reg was very, very clever, because when Ron died, he realised that what had to be done was a proper show, a proper funeral. And again, he'd read the books on the mafia, and that, the mafia funerals are something. And he was going to have the same thing.
I've never seen anything like it. It was quite extraordinary.
When the twins' older brother, Charlie, died 5 years later, Reg once more organised the funeral from prison. It was to be a grand production, not for Charlie, but for Reg, who starred in the spectacle he'd arranged.
There was this enormous emotion going right through this crowd, the like of which I'd never seen before or since. I mean, it came to a climax when Reg was brought in. By then he was very ill. He was a little frail guy with grey hair. He was like some very old sort of king across the water.
6 months later, Reg Kray was released from prison. He had cancer and only weeks to live. He spent his last days in a small hotel room.
There he was, lying in bed, death looming. And on one side was his wife, on the other side was his boyfriend. They were both holding his hands, and that's how he went out. I mean, it is very, very odd. It's a curious... Jimmy Cagney wouldn't have done it. George Raft wouldn't have done it. But Reg did it.
Reg died 4 days before his 67th birthday. He had spent just over 30 years in prison, a high price for fame.
Funerals were incredible. They're part of the great, I suppose, the folk culture of the East End, unlike anything. And again, you understand how clever and the power of the Krays in certain ways over this whole myth-making thing.
Ronnie would have done it all again. The difference between Reg and Ronnie would have been a gangster if you put Ronnie Kray in America, France, Germany, anywhere you want, Italy, he would have been a gangster. Ronnie Kray couldn't be nothing else.
In my head, Ronnie Kray, the picture of Ronnie Kray mingles in with Al Capone. I think he wanted to be Al Capone all his life, and within my head, he kind of made it, to be honest.
They got too big for their boots. I think if they'd stayed round Bethnal Green, they probably would have had a much longer run.
They had ended their days as prisoners of their own legends. The murders had taken away their freedom, but given them fame.
In fact, in the end, they both become mad. And this, I think, was the sort of tragedy of what happened to the Krays. It was a terrible, tragic story of their life. They got immortality, and that's what they were doing. They were killing for fame.
It was part of their mystique that they was, this identical side, identical twins. And if you hurt one, you had to hurt the other one.
It meant they could fight as one. They had telepathy between themselves. They could understand what the other was doing or saying without actually using any words.
It was a partnership. They wouldn't do anything without each other. You understand me? And if one was upset about something, he wouldn't have nobody else around. There was just them to talk about it.
In time, you couldn't tell them apart. It's only as the years went on, Ronnie's drinking and that, and the pills he was taking, for his paranoia, that his face got fatter. and then you could tell them apart.
As they got older, I think Reggie was the saner of the two. Reggie got thinner and very anxious looking. You could see he was living on his nerves. Ronnie didn't live in the real world at all.
Strange thing was even then, Ronnie was like the stronger personality, really, I suppose, more forward, whereas Reggie was a bit more laid back. But even then, and that's exactly how it was as they got older, the same thing. But Ronnie was the leading light even then. Not very bright in some ways, but very forward.
Her mother, Violet, adored them. She was a sort of Cockney Queen Mother figure, and she used to call the twins her little bunny rabbits, and she adored them, and she was very proud of them.
A mixture in between old Charlie. He wanted to be a good thief, but he wasn't. He wouldn't do it. And he also wanted to be a straight man at the same time.
I think Ron was then 15 when he saw the old boy trying to beat his mother up, and he hit him. And from that moment, the father's authority went, and the twins could get away with anything, and they did after that.
I went to Fort Valence on a couple of occasions, and was entertained by Violet in a very formal way, and Ronnie would pour the tea, rather like the Queen Mother. It was what the Cockneys call a little palace. It was absolutely immaculate, the cleanest house you've ever seen. Everything polished and burnished. Every interior door had a lace curtain over it, tied back with pink bows. It was the closest thing to either the interior of a gypsy caravan or a longboat on the canals, with sort of roses and coarse brasses and lots of little curtains.
When I looked at Ronnie and Reggie, I could tell immediately, always, they had this violence in them, if necessary. They definitely had it, and in abundance.
They were dangerous people, and they weren't the kind of people that you'd mess around with. If you messed around with them, then you was going to get it.
I was terrified of them, to be honest with you. I was, I don't mind admitting it, But they were animals. Well, animals, you can't get animals. I've got respect for animals. I've got no respect for them too, They
had that aura about them, and they were powerful, there's no doubt about it.
If they hurt people, they like people to be around them and see it. And this was putting fear into people in the East End. Oh, they were violent, all right, cool, Charlie was different altogether. Charlie I respected. Charlie Kray, he'd never let you swear in front of women if he was in his company. Charlie Kray was a gentleman. He couldn't help it, because the Kray twins were his brothers. You can't blame a man for that.
The public in the East End rather welcomed them, I think, because they kept some sort of order in the streets. And they had this rather sentimental way of giving to old people's charities and paying for everybody's bill in the pub and that sort of thing.
They weren't sophisticated guys. They were ordinary guys, ordinary London fellas. No, they wasn't big, brainy businessmen. They were ordinary guys, but dangerous.
If anyone they knew, any thief they knew that did a job, that got away with, considerable sum of money or that, they wanted a cut out of it.
They had the brains to realise they wouldn't have made good thieves, and so they went into protection, which they were born to, and they were very good at it.
Ronnie, he didn't like women. The only woman he liked was his mama, all right, Violet. She was a nice woman, and he was homosexual, Ronnie. We knew he liked boys, and where Reggie, he liked girls and boys, You know,
Ron was quite remarkable in many ways, and one of the most remarkable things was that he was the first, I felt I can make out, the first gay gangster in England who actually came out of the closet.
You could talk to him all day, you wouldn't even know he was gay, and never suspect it. But if you saw a nice, good-looking fella come in, some good-looking footballer or a nice film actor who's nice, good-looking, fit, well, he's nice, and he'd try and make a play with him.
no one could control him. I mean, the only one that could control him was his mother. No one else.
He's a bit like Rasputin, you know. He's way out. He's unusual. That does become very, very scary. And he was scary. He could be scary. They both could, but Ron especially.
If he's going to come in here now and cut you or shoot you, he'd do it. No, all the talking, he didn't take notes of no one. You know, even Reggie, he was dominated by him, wasn't he? Really, we all knew that.
He was a barely controlled schizophrenic, and very dangerous. His madness took over, and he became an enormous problem to everybody.
Ronnie fell in love with him. And, you know, a lot of it, if you look at old footage of Ronnie, you can see that he's trying to dress and look and talk like George Raft. It's rather touching.
Rich homosexuals would go from smart West End to the East End to either to pick up boys or where there were male brothels. This is where Oscar Wilde used to go. And it's a long tradition of it, that the East End was their sort of brothel.
How Boothby got so entangled with them is a bit of a mystery. He must have had a death wish.
Boothby was so mad that, and such a dominating, powerful, arrogant man, that he used to actually love taking Ron with him back into the West End. And he even took Ron into White's Club one night. I mean, the idea of actually, you know, a member of the House of Lords, well, first of all, he gave Ron dinner, I think, in the Lords. And you took him back into his club, which was a very, you know, the smartest club in London. And the thing was brushed under the carpet. This was extremely bad because what the effect of it was that it gave the Krays invulnerability and enormous notoriety in the East End and among other criminals, that they could always get away with everything. They were so carried away by the role they'd got themselves into as gangster killers, they had to do it finally.
Reggie's favourite saying, you'll disappear from the face of the earth. And that's what they did. They disappeared from the face. No body, no crime. They deep freeze the bodies. When they took them out the deep freeze, they cut them up. There's no blood, because they're frozen stiff. They burnt the bodies, and there's nothing for anyone to find.
Cremated, there's nothing left. And you just sling the ashes away. Outside New Scotland Yard, Wandsworth, anywhere. That's the end of the story then. No evidence anywhere at all. Simple as that.
To be honest with you, all I know is there's 7 people that they have killed. There's probably more. I don't know, but there's 7 people that I know that they have killed.
Because the nature of homicidal schizophrenia is that it gets worse. And also, as the battles went on between them, the battles for dominance continued and got worse and worse. They were always in competition. And it's this strain between the two of them, that one side of them, they adored each other, they lived for each other, and the other side, they hated each other.
I called the 2 mad Marchers. That's what I called them. They was mad. You can't say what them 2 got up to. They've got to be mad. Sane people don't do that type of thing.
He became increasingly paranoid like his brother, and so in the end you've got this pair of linked paranoid schizophrenics who were in charge of London but not in charge of themselves. They were wretched. It was a miserable fate.
It's true that Jules did call him a puff, Ronnie Kray. He did call Ronnie Kray a puff.
Ron knew he had to do something. And what could he do? If he gave in, the whole myth, the whole of this facade that he's built up around himself would go. So he did what a man had to do.
I think that probably Reggie would have been much more at ease with himself if he had come out and if he had not attempted to marry and the rest of it, because that was a tragedy and destroyed that poor little girl's life.
The thing with it with Reggie and Ronnie, that if Ronnie did something, then he would Reggie thought he had to do it as well. And that's how they was. He does it, I'll do it. You can do it, I can do it. Ronnie's shouting out to him. But if you're going to shoot anybody, make sure we shoot him in the head, like I did Cornell. Out loud. Maybe because of Ronnie killing Cornell, he thought he had to do a murder as well. If a man's going around saying, he's going to kill me, he's going to kill it, I don't blame you or anybody else for killing a person who's going around saying he's going to kill you.
The strange thing about the Krays, and it's what is in a way at the heart of their downfall, is that the strength which they got from being identical twins, but at the same time it was that which destroyed them in the end.
I was very shocked by the change in their appearance, because you could see Reggie's life was written on his face, and he wasn't happy. He wasn't enjoying it at all. I think he was terrified. He knew that he was not going to see the light of day again. Oh, Ronnie was off to the moon. He really didn't have a clue what was happening to him. Ronnie saw me from the dock, and he wrote me a little note, which he handed down, saying, "Dear Miss Lethbridge, you're more beautiful than ever. When I get out of this, I'm going to take you to the moon." And I'm quite certain that he believed it. I went to visit Ronnie in Broadmoor after he'd been probably in for about 5 years. I had tea with him, and he really was the Queen Mother then. He came in and motioned for him to sit down, nice table, poured the tea, very gracious host, then said, "Would you like a meat pie? They warm them up lovely."
Why would he get married? He like fellas.
Why do young women marry lots of funny old men who have a lot of money or a lot of fame? They were famous. They were names. They were celebrities. They were up there. Everybody likes a gangster, particularly if he's a killer.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Kray's Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly, moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.
Leave a like and subscribe.